Right before Forsaken launched, I did a video explaining how to prep for the DLC based on the knowledge that I had at that time. It was like 75% wrong. Not gonna lie, the shit that I did, I really didn't fucking know would work because Bungie really changed how Forsaken was gonna operate once the DLC launched. However, this time around, I have a better idea how to prep this motherfucker and a few tips on what you can do before the Black Armory DLC. And no, YouTube order, that is not the name of your BBC dildo and back order, so you need to go fuck yourself. For people like me who want to get the jump on power leveling to do the hardest content in the game, there are ways of preparing in advance on how to rank up quickly with the new DLC coming out. You know, the 1 or 2 weeks of prep work that you do now, prior to the new season, will easily save you a week of grinding in the following DLC, especially when you know how powerful engrams and bounties currently work this time around. One very important thing to note though about this video is that Bungie has not given us details on whether the power levels will raise and if we're going to get new ranks to grind and whatnot. Forsaken currently sits at rank 50 and power level 600, but there's a chance that this could go up. And there's also a very small chance that they'll leave it the same. However, for every DLC they've ever launched, they have bumped up something to allow us to rank up again. So, I'm going under the assumption we will have to rank up once again. I don't know this for a fact. This is strictly a guess, but hopefully a correct guess. So the shit that I'm going to be doing and explaining in this video is under the assumption that we're going to have to rank up once again in the Black Armory DLC. So here's the gist. Save everything. That's the bottom line. Don't cash shit in now. Don't waste materials where you don't have to. Stock up on whatever you can stockpile, as much shit as you can think of to be prepared for the DLC to launch, and then you could bump your levels up in the very early stages. That sets your path up for quicker power bumps down the road by doing the grinding now. So let's break this down into very easy steps. Step number 1, complete any powerful engram bounty, but do not cash them in at this point. I know it's tempting to try to get that exotic you want, like the Shards of Galanor gloves or the Queenbreaker, but it really will help you in 2 weeks as opposed to doing it right now. There are a number of powerful engram bounties that could be saved until the DLC, such as Spider's Big Wanted Bounty. You know, the one that costs 5 ghost fragments or whatever the fuck it is? This week it's the Silent Fang for those that are curious. Petra has 3 powerful engram bounties, which are the Ascendant Challenge, the 100% of the Blind Well, which gives you an offering, and the 8 daily bounties in a week. Gambit will also offer up a powerful engram bounty, and as tempting as it is to cash all of these in, do not do it. These are 5 powerful light bumping engrams that will continue to scale with your power level. Now, depending on what Bungie does during the transition week starting on the 27th, it's possible that they will bring back some more powerful bounties to pick up. It's possible they also won't. If there are more bounties, that means Gambit and possibly Spider will have another bounty. They could also be repeats, so just keep that in mind. But these have the potential to change. Petra's 3 bounties will not change. So if you complete those 3, they will remain completed with no opportunity to get a new one. Basically, it just shows that you have the bounty already and that you can't complete it again. But hold on to all these bounties until the DLC launches. Step number 2, similar to the bounties, if you have an exotic gun quest on different characters, hold on to them. I still have the Ace of Spades on 1 character and the Malfeasance on 2 characters. If you're able to, do the quest steps all the way up to the final step where you can pretty much just cash the sucker in. Guns like the Ace of Spades, the Chaperone, Malfeasance, Wish Ender, they all scale to power. Ideally, you want to progress on those as far as possible in each one of these quests so that all you need to do is just cash them in and you get a powerful piece of old gear. Step number 3. Hoard any materials or tokens. This cannot be stressed enough. You're going to get tons of shit from vendors on all the planets as well as the towers. We're talking Vanguard tokens, Crucible tokens, Alkane parts, Seraphite, gun parts, whatever you can get your hands on, stockpile that shit. They're not as great as powerful engrams, but they will get the ball rolling on leveling up. We're going to talk about that in a second. Final step, step number 4, fill your inventory with all these completed bounties. Anything from Gambit bounties to the Vanguard to the Crucible. Again, this is the lowest priority on the list because it offers you the least in terms of rewards, but it still adds to the stacking effect of getting a jump on the DLC. The only bounties that you should be completing once you get them and cashing them in are those blue scrapper bounties that reward things with like enhancement cores or shit like that. Stocking up on cores is helpful, and those bounties won't have any importance when it comes to ranking up So cashing them in this week and next week should be your goal. Once you get them, you complete them, get your enhancement cores. Now, let's say you've done all that shit. You saved your powerful engram bounties, you bring quest steps to the very end, but you don't cash them in, you're stockpiling your materials and bounties, then you have to know how to use all of that shit. The first thing you should do, as soon as the DLC launches, is pretty much in the reverse order of importance that I just talked about. Go from step 4 all the way to step number 1. Once the DLC starts, the main thing to do is cash in all your tokens at Zavala, to Shaxx, to any of the planet vendors that still have shit. Basically, you're going to get some minimal power increases to your gear. Do the same shit at Banshee. Hopefully, you get some decent parts, a decent gun to use or something like that. Basically, you want to get the ball rolling on starting on the power leveling. You're going to do it very small increments. Don't expect to jump up 10, 15 levels doing this. You're probably only going to jump up maybe 1 light level, 2 light levels if you're lucky. But you get started on using useless shit that you have no purpose for right now. Then, cash in your bounties except for Gambit. More on that in a second. But you want to cash in any Vanguard bounties that you completed and you were holding on to, any Crucible bounties, any Planet bounties for materials. They're not a lot of points, nor do they give you decent rewards, but you can start ranking up quicker with those bounties. It gives you a little bit of XP so that once you get to the next part of the game, you already got a couple points towards your XP totals. Gambit is the one exception, and all we're talking about are those daily low-level bounties, because Bungie is tweaking the bounties for Gambit. The point totals are going to increase, so those 15 XP bounties that are fucking worthless right now, they're getting a bump up in XP. However, like Bungie said in their weekly update, you have to play Gambit first after the patch in order for those bounties to register at the higher XP total. So if you were to cash in that bounty, it's only going to be 15 XP. If you wait until you play a Gambit match, they're going to bump up to whatever the new total is that they laid out. So let's say it's 30 XP or some shit like that. I think it's going to be a little bit higher, but essentially they're going to be a lot higher once you play at least one game of Gambit on your character. So don't cash these shits in before that. You'll easily lose a lot of XP just by cashing these things in early. Now, since the game doesn't have a story, or at least there's no story to play that we know of according to Bungie's release on these things, probably some quest lines, if anything, when it comes to that, but you're going to have to do something to reach max rank or whatever it is. Once you reach max rank and you start grinding out power levels, then you start cashing in your powerful engrams and your exotic quests. Personally, I like to split up cashing in powerful items immediately and then saving some until the end of the week before reset. So it's really a matter of preference. You know, I personally find that waiting and holding out on these is a better way of ranking up, but sometimes you need that first character to kind of get the ball rolling, and that helps you bump up all of your other characters. Since I play with all three, basically I'm doing a juggling act with moving pieces around and shit like that. So what I like to do is once I know I am max rank, then I start cashing in just a few of the bounties, just a couple of them. That way I can start getting some large bumps at the very beginning of the rank up process. By the end of the week, after I've already done all the other activities and I'm starting to see some bumps in light or whatever it is, maybe I got some exotics, maybe I got some powerful engrams, you name it, whatever the case is, at the end of the week, I'm probably going to have a pretty decent light level. So at that point, I start cashing in my powerful engram bounties. Ultimately, you decide if you want to cash them in early or if you want to do them late. But saving them is now the key to ranking up. So for the next 2 weeks, if you're really looking to power rank once the Black Armory DLC comes out, start hoarding. Collect shit, but don't spend shit. Hold on to powerful engrams, but cash in only those scrapper bounties for enhancement cores. And when the DLC launches, cash in all the small shit first, then worry about the big shit later. Essentially, you're going to notice that you're going to rank up a lot quicker by doing all these couple of steps and preparing in advance in order for the DLC to come out. For those of you who don't give a shit about power ranking, well, then you can do whatever the fuck you want. But essentially, this is tips for people that want to rank up as quickly as possible. So as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit. And I'll see you guys in the next video.